She was just a girl from the wrong side of the city quiet, untouched by wealth, clinging to hope in a world that never played fair. He was a cold billionaire, feared in boardrooms and untouchable in love. Their worlds were never meant to collide, but when desperation met desire, she accepted his offer one night, no strings. One night that changed everything. What began as a deal turned into heartbreak, betrayal, and a war between pride and love. When he made her cry in front of his family, he shattered more than just trust. Now she must rise from the ashes of his cruelty, not to beg for his love, but to teach him what it costs to break a woman who only ever gave him her heart. This isn't just a love story, it's a reckoning. Stay with us as we dive into the full story. Rain lashed against the cracked windows of Alina Hart's tiny flower shop, the petals of unsold roses drooping like her spirit. The final notice taped to the register mocked her. Her little brother Liam needed surgery soon, or he wouldn't make it to graduation. And she had exactly $37.42 to her name. She looked up as the shop bell chimed. The man who stepped in didn't belong in her world. Damon Blackwood. The name alone could make headlines tremble. Billionaire tech mogul, cold, calculated, rumored to have a heart of steel and a gaze that could cut glass. Now, standing in her dim shop, he looked wildly out of place in a tailored charcoal suit, his hair slick from the storm. Alina's breath caught. He was devastatingly handsome but distant, as if the world bored him. I need flowers. Something that says, I don't care, but I remembered anyway, Damon said flatly. Scanning the room with clear disinterest, Alina blinked. That would be these, she said, handing him a single cactus with a pink bloom. His lip twitched, almost a smile. Fitting. He handed her a black card without looking as she boxed the plant. Damon's eyes drifted to the eviction notice near the counter. He was used to desperation, but something in Alina's quiet dignity stopped him. He spoke, barely above a murmur. How much do you need? Alina froze. I'm sorry, to keep your shop. Help your brother. He had read the paperwork upside down. How much? $250,000, she whispered, voice cracking with disbelief. That she'd just admitted that out loud. There was a pause. Then his voice, cold, deliberate. Come to my penthouse tonight. One night, no expectations after. In return, I'll transfer the full amount to your account by morning. The words felt like a slap. She stared at him. You're serious? Don't joke, ever. Alina's mind spiraled. Was this what she'd become, someone who would sell herself? But Liam's face, pale, hopeful, trusting. He didn't deserve to die because life had kicked them too hard. If she had to give up a part of herself to save him, so be it. She nodded once. Okay. Damon's eyes didn't flicker. 8 p.m., Blackwood Tower, dress simple. You're not there to impress anyone. He turned and left without another word, leaving only a faint trail of expensive cologne and thunder in his wake. Rosa, the landlady, emerged from the back. Alina, who was that? But Alina didn't answer. She sank behind the counter, clutching the cactus like a lifeline. Her heart pounding. She had just sold a piece of her soul to a man who probably didn't believe she had one. But for Liam, she would do anything, even this. Alina stood in front of Blackwood Tower, shivering in the crisp night air. Her plain navy dress clung to her figure, soaked from the rain. The building loomed above her like a monument to power, and she felt like a stain on the marble steps. Inside, the elevator carried her higher than she'd ever been, physically and emotionally. She kept her hands clasped in front of her, trying not to tremble. Was she scared? Yes, but she'd made a choice. For Liam. When the doors opened, Damon Blackwood stood there, shirt unbuttoned at the collar, sleeves rolled, glass of whiskey in hand. His penthouse was sleek, cold, masculine, full of steel, glass, and silence. "You came," he said simply. "You paid," she replied, voice low but steady. His eyes flickered with something unreadable. "Rules," he said, setting his glass down. "No kissing, no questions, no pretending this is anything other than what it is." Alina nodded, and after tonight, he added, "we don't exist to each other." She flinched inwardly, but kept her chin high. "Understood." Damon moved closer. The space between them shrank. His hand reached up, but instead of touching her, he paused, searching her face. "You've never done this before," he said quietly. It wasn't a question. "No," she whispered. "You paid for a virgin, not a fool." A sharp breath escaped him. For a moment, Damon looked shaken. Then, without warning, he stepped back, as though her words had scorched him. "You can leave," he muttered. "Take the money and walk." But Alina didn't move. "No, I'm not walking away," you said one night. "So let's get it over with." The words left her mouth like broken glass. Her heart cracked with each syllable. Damon stared at her, his usual coolness faltered. He'd bought her, yes, but he hadn't expected her fire. Her pain was raw, and yet she carried it like armor. The night didn't unfold the way either of them expected. He didn't throw her onto the bed like she imagined. Instead, he sat beside her. They barely touched. They spoke in nothing, and yet everything. Alina noticed the way he stiffened when she asked about his family, the way his voice dropped when he spoke of betrayal. And Damon, though he never admitted it, saw her strength, how her hands shook, but her eyes never begged. When she fell asleep beside him, fully clothed, he didn't move her. He stayed awake, watching the ceiling, his mind in chaos. In the morning, she was gone. A single white rose was left on the pillow, and Damon felt something he hadn't felt in years. A crack, a small, splintering crack in the wall around his heart. He rolled over, picked up the rose, and stared at it like it was a riddle he couldn't solve. One night, that was the deal. So why did it feel like something had just begun? Alina didn't expect a second meeting. Their agreement was over. The money had landed in her account, and Liam's surgery was scheduled. She should have felt free. Instead, she felt watched because Damon Blackwood wouldn't stop calling. 3. Ignored calls. Then a text. "Dinner, tonight, 7 p.m. My driver will pick you up. Wear white." She stared at the message, pulse racing. This wasn't part of the deal, but curiosity, or maybe defiance, made her show up. The estate was nothing. Like his penthouse, solder sprawling, soaked in legacy and shadows. Marble columns, a fountain shaped like a lion, and waiting at the top of the steps, Damon, devastating in a black suit, jaw set like granite. "You look clean," he murmured, eyes trailing over her simple white dress. "You look practiced." She replied, chin tilted, matching his energy. He smirked, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Let's go. My family is waiting." Her blood turned cold. "You're what?" Before she could protest, a butler opened grand double doors, revealing a long mahogany dining table lined with people who looked like they belonged in a luxury magazine. At the head sat Elaine Blackwood, Damon's mother, elegant, sharp-eyed, and terrifying. Beside her was Sebastian, Damon's smug older brother, and Vanessa. Sebastian's picture-perfect fiancé, blonde, fake-laughed, and scanning Alina like a stain on the rug. "And this is," Elaine asked without smiling. Damon didn't flinch. "Alina, a friend." Vanessa raised a manicured brow. "From where?" "A catalogue." Alina stiffened. "Enough," Damon said, voice low but firm. Dinner was torture. Forks clinked. Jabs flew like bullets. Vanessa mocked Alina's plain shoes. Sebastian questioned her education. Elaine said nothing, but her glances sliced sharper than words. Alina tried to hold her ground, but she was drowning in silken judgment. She wasn't meant to be here. Then Elaine said, lightly, "It's good to see Damon finally bringing home someone so humble. Most women he entertains don't stay for breakfast." Alina's heart snapped. The insult hit harder than she expected. Damon's silence made it worse. He didn't defend her. He just sat there, stone-faced, as if she truly was nobody. Alina stood, breath ragged. "Thank you for dinner." She turned and walked out, heels clicking down the hall like a slow scream. Damon caught up with her near the car. "What was that?" she demanded, tears brimming. "Why bring me here? Why let them humiliate me?" "I warned you," he said. Cold again. "You're not part of this world." "Then stop dragging me into it," she cried. "You paid for one night, not this." Her voice cracked. Her hands trembled, and Damon for the first time looked ashamed. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "I didn't think you'd care." "Well, I do," Alina whispered, "because I'm not made of ice like you." She got into the car and shut the door before he could respond. As it pulled away, Damon stood alone on the steps, jaw tight. Fists clenched. He had broken the first rule. No pretending this was anything more, and now he didn't know how to fix it. Alina sat by Liam's hospital bed, watching the steady beep of the heart monitor. The surgery had gone well. He was going to be okay. That should have brought peace. But all she felt was hollow. The Blackwood dinner haunted her. The pity and smirk, the silence Damon offered as his family tore her down like she was nothing, like she had sold her dignity for a single night. There was a knock at the hospital door. She turned, heart skipping. It wasn't Damon. It was a tall man in a grey suit. "Miss Ramirez?" he asked politely. "Yes. I'm from the Blackwood estate. Mr. Damon asked me to deliver this." He extended an envelope, heavy, thick, inside a check. $50,000. Alina stared at the number. Her throat tightened. "This is for what?" she asked, voice hardening. "A gesture of apology," the man replied, "and a request for your silence." Her heart plummeted. So that's what she was to him now. A mistake to cover. A transaction to tidy up. "Tell Damon to keep his money," she said coldly, "and tell him I'm not for sale." The man hesitated. He anticipated you might say that. He handed her a second envelope. No check, just a note, scrawled in Damon's familiar handwriting. "I messed up. I should have defended you. I didn't know how. I've spent my whole life pushing people away, but you stayed when I gave you every reason to run. I don't want silence. I want a second chance." Her fingers trembled as she folded the note. Still, the pain didn't soften. Later that night, back at the small apartment she shared with her aunt, Alina sat at the kitchen table, staring at the check. Her Aunt Rosa walked in and noticed her expression. "Alina," Rosa asked gently, What's going on? Alina explained everything. The night, the dinner, the humiliation, the check. Rosa listened quietly, then said, Mia, you gave up. Your innocence for your brother, that was noble. But don't let anyone, no matter how rich, make you feel worthless. Alina's eyes welled with tears. I thought maybe, for a moment, he saw me. Rosa took her hand. If he does see you, he'll fight for you. If he doesn't, he never deserved you. That night, Alina didn't sleep. The next morning, she mailed the check back. No note. No explanation. She wanted Damon to feel it, the silence. Meanwhile, at Blackwood Enterprises, Damon stared at the returned envelope in his office. The check inside, untouched. He ran a hand through his hair, exhaling slowly. His assistant, Miles, stepped in. Sir, your meeting with Ms. Hastings is in 10 minutes. Cancel it, Damon said. Miles hesitated. Sir, the Hastings merger. Cancel everything, Damon snapped. For the week. Miles blinked, then nodded and exited. Damon sat alone, tapping the check against his desk. She didn't want his money. She wanted respect. And somehow, for the first time in years, Damon realized he didn't want to be the kind of man who had to buy forgiveness. He wanted to earn it. But how do you earn trust from someone whose heart you shattered with silence? Damon stood in front of the run-down apartment building, flanked by his driver and 2 bodyguards. The Blackwood name didn't belong here, and he knew it. But she did. He had replayed the dinner in his mind 1,000 times. Alina's trembling voice, the way her eyes dimmed with betrayal. This time, he wasn't sending a check. He came himself. The door opened after the 3rd knock. It wasn't Alina. It was her aunt, Rosa, her eyes instantly narrowing. You have some nerve, she said. Flatly, I came to apologize, Damon replied. In person, Rosa didn't move. Apologies don't fix what pride destroys. Before he could respond, Alina appeared behind her in a faded blue t-shirt, her hair tied back, face bare of makeup, but more beautiful than ever. What are you doing here? She asked, voice low. I needed to see you, Damon said. Can we talk? Reluctantly, she stepped outside. The two stood by the walkway, under the grey sky, tension heavy in the air. I made a mistake, he said. That night, I froze. I didn't know how to stand up for you without revealing what we were. Alina crossed her arms. You mean, you were embarrassed? No, he said quickly. Ashamed of myself, not you. She didn't look convinced. I've never brought anyone home before, he admitted. Not for dinner, not ever. They saw you as a weakness. I should have shown them you were my strength. Alina looked away, her chest rising with a sigh. You think words fix this? Damon took a small velvet box from his coat and opened it. A delicate silver bracelet lay inside, charming, simple, with a single sapphire. My mother gave me this when I was 16, he said. Told me to give it to the woman I'd protect with my life. Alina's eyes flicked to the bracelet, then back to him. You think a family heirloom makes up for humiliation? He blinked. No, but it's not payment. It's a promise. She stared at him, heart torn. She wanted to believe it meant something. But a voice inside whispered, It's just another pretty thing to silence you. I can't be a secret, she said softly, and I can't be your charity. Damon reached for her hand, but she stepped back. I'm not asking for pity, she continued. I just want honesty, respect. That's all I've ever wanted. His jaw tightened, the billionaire in him bristling at rejection. But the man, the one she awakened, nodded. I'll earn that, he said, even if it takes everything. Just then, a sleek black Rolls-Royce pulled up. Inside sat a striking woman in red dot, Vanessa Hastings. She rolled down the window, eyes cold and mocking. Still playing house with your charity case, she purred. Alina's face froze. Damon's shoulders stiffened. I told you not to come here. Damon growled. Vanessa smirked. Your father's gala is tomorrow. Bring your guest, if you're brave enough. With that, she sped off. Alina looked at Damon, fire flickering in her eyes. Are you, she asked, brave enough? There. Eyes locked. Be ready by 7, he said. I'm done hiding. The Blackwood Foundation Gala was the crown jewel of Manhattan's social calendar. Held in the shimmering crystal atrium, it was a swirling sea of chandeliers, champagne flutes, and egos in designer gowns. And into this glittering world stepped Alina Ramirez, clad in a floor-length emerald gown courtesy of a stylist. Damon sent, but she'd hesitated to accept. Alina looked every inch the heiress. But inside, she was still the girl from a cramped apartment, holding a second job to pay for her brother's therapy. Damon stood tall beside her, tuxedo crisp, eyes scanning the crowd for threats and whispers. He could feel them watching. The murmurs started the moment they walked in. Is that her? The poor girl he paid for one night. She doesn't belong here. Alina's spine stiffened, but she kept her chin high. Her fingers trembled slightly against Damon's arm. He felt it. For once, he didn't freeze. He leaned close and whispered, You're the most beautiful woman in this room, and the only one who's real. She looked up at him, eyes shining with gratitude and uncertainty inside. Guests buzzed around, but none dared approach directly until Vanessa Hastings glided in. All red silk and poison. Darling, she purred to Damon, ignoring Alina entirely. I'm surprised you brought your charity date. Damon's jaw tightened. She has a name, Alina, and she's not a date. She's the only reason I'm standing here without hating myself. Alina blinked. Vanessa's smile wavered. I see, she said coolly, turning to Alina. Well, dear, if you ever tire of playing Cinderella, I know a few places always hiring servers. Alina didn't flinch. I'd rather serve with dignity than rot in a castle with venom in my mouth, she replied. Gasps. Even Damon's lips twitched. Vanessa's eyes narrowed before she walked off, heels clicking like gunfire. Damon turned to Alina. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did, she said, breathless. For myself. Before he could speak again, a flash of cameras erupted. Reporters had spotted them. Damon, over here. Who's your date? Is this your mystery girl from last month? Damon's hand tightened around Alina's. He pulled her close. She's not a mystery. She's the woman I love. The room froze. Alina's breath caught in her throat. Love. The press went wild, flashes popping, but all she could see was Damon's face, vulnerable, stripped of pride. Don't say that unless you mean it, she whispered. I've never meant anything more, he replied. Later that night, in the car, Alina stared at him in silence. The city lights washed over their faces. You turned a scandal into a statement, she said. I turned a mistake into something I'm proud of, he corrected. Alina reached for his hand, but she didn't know across the city Vanessa Hastings had made a call. To whom it may concern, she said sweetly into the phone. I have some information about a girl named Alina Ramirez. You'll want to hear this. The following morning, the internet was ablaze. Billionaire Damon Blackwood publicly declares love for mystery girl. From waitress to Blackwood's heartthrob, who is Alina Ramirez. Alina scrolled through the headlines in Damon's penthouse kitchen, still in his oversized shirt from the night before. The smell of coffee and the faint echo of last night's kiss lingered in the air. But as she reached the bottom of the screen, her heart stopped. Exclusive. Alina Ramirez's dark secret, a family debt scandal. The article was brutal. Photos of her rundown neighborhood, her brother's therapy sessions twisted into a criminal record. Even her old job, waitressing at Crystal Lounge, had been spun into something sleazy. Alina's hands trembled. Oh no. Damon stepped into the kitchen, reading her face before he saw the screen. What happened? She turned it to him. He read quickly. The muscle in his jaw ticked. Vanessa, he muttered. Alina backed away. I told you this would happen. I never wanted to be in your world. This isn't your fault, Damon said, stepping forward. She's trying to humiliate. You humiliate me. She shook her head, voice breaking. But they believe it. Look at these comments. Gold digger, desperate girl, he'll drop her in a week. I don't care what they say, he said firmly. I do, she cried. Because I have nothing, Damon. No last name to protect me. No money to silence them. I only had my dignity now, even that's been dragged through the dirt. He was silent, not because he didn't care, but because he didn't know how to fix it. Later that day, Damon visited his lawyer. The plan was swift. Issue a statement, pursue the site for defamation, and push a digital cleanup. But Alina didn't want silence or sympathy. She wanted respect, so she did the unthinkable. She called a reporter that night. The headline changed. Alina Ramirez speaks out. I'm not a scandal, I'm a survivor. In the interview, she was poised and raw. She talked about growing up poor, about her brother's needs, about working 3 jobs to survive. She admitted to accepting Damon's offer that night, but said nothing about the details. I didn't sell myself, she said calmly. I made a choice, and for the first time in my life, I chose me. The internet exploded again, but this time, support poured in. Damon watched the interview from his office, pride blooming in his chest. She didn't hide. She rose. She's incredible, his assistant muttered. She's everything, Damon replied under his breath. But across town, Vanessa watched it to fury, simmering behind perfect makeup. She thinks this is over, she hissed, slamming her tablet on the marble countertop. She's just getting started. She picked up her phone. Dig deeper. Her past, her family, anything we can twist. This girl wants to be public. Let's show the world everything. Alina stood by the window of Damon's penthouse, watching the clouds roll over Manhattan. The city pulsed with life, but her heart felt unusually still. After the public interview, things had changed. The headlines were kinder. Strangers smiled. Instead of sneering, Damon had been quieter, too softer, with his touch lingering with his eyes. He brought her flowers. He asked about her dreams. For the first time, Alina felt like more than a one-night mistake. But peace is always the silence before a storm. That evening, Damon invited her to dinner with his family. Alina froze. You're Fatunli. He nodded, his expression unreadable. You deserve to meet them, and they need to know you. She tried to smile, but her stomach twisted. The Blackwoods were old money, ruthless, proud. She wasn't just from another world. She was from the gutter compared to them. Still, she agreed. The Blackwood estate was like something out of a royal fantasy. White pillars, cascading staircases, oil paintings older than the country. She wore a modest cream dress and borrowed confidence. Damon's mother, Evelyn, greeted her with a tight-lipped smile. "So, you're the famous Alina," she said. "You photographed taller." His younger brother Nathan gave her a wink. "She's prettier in person." But the dinner was strained. Evelyn asked sharp questions, veiled as polite curiosity. "What does your father do, dear?" "He left when I was 10. "Oh, I see." Nathan chuckled. "Mother, you'll give her indigestion." But the real blow came when Evelyn's assistant entered with a brown envelope. "Ma'am, the documents you requested." Alina blinked as Evelyn slid the envelope across the table. "I thought it best to know who we're dealing with." Inside were printed reports, phone screenshots, and financial records. Alina's face drained. It was her entire life exposed, dissected, shamed. A loan her mother had taken and defaulted on an unpaid medical bill for her brother. Even an old photo from her waitress days, taken by someone without her consent. Damon stood, fury rising. "Mother, what the hell is this?" "She's not one of us, Damon," Evelyn said coolly. "She's baggage, and Vanessa was kind enough to warn me." Alina stood up, her hands shaking. "You planned this. You humiliated me on purpose." "I protected my family," Evelyn replied. "You'll thank me later." Damon walked round the table, grabbing Alina's hand. "We're leaving," but Alina pulled away. "No," she said, voice breaking. "This is your world. I don't belong here, Damon. I never did." She turned and walked out, heels echoing in the vast, cruel room. Damon stared after her, heart splitting. "You've lost her," Nathan muttered to his mother. Evelyn sipped her wine. "If she truly loved him, she'll come back stronger. If not, she never belonged." Outside, rain fell like tears. Alina stood by the estate gate, soaked and trembling in one night. The world had opened to her and crushed her with its weight. She looked at the city lights in the distance. "I won't be their pity project," she whispered. "I'll make them regret underestimating him." Alina didn't answer Damon's calls. Not the first, not the fifth, not the 15th. Each ring felt like a dagger, reminding her of how little she truly belonged in his world. She had returned to her tiny apartment in Queensborough, quiet and familiar, gone were the silk sheets and city views. Here the radiator clanked in protest, and her brother Leo's old laughter still echoed through the hallway. Even though he was at therapy half the day, she'd turned her phone to silent, but not off. Part of her still waited to hear Damon's voice. The other part, the broken one, told her to move on. Meanwhile, across the city, Damon was spiraling. He barely touched his scotch. The fireplace roared in his penthouse, but it didn't warm the cold that clung to his chest. His assistant, Caleb, stood at the door with uncertainty. "Sir, the launch for Blackwood Tech's AI branch is tomorrow." "The press, I don't care." Caleb hesitated. Alina was spotted in Queens. She looked tired. Damon's jaw clenched. "I broke her." "No, your family did." Damon nodded slowly, the words sinking in. That night, he didn't sleep. Instead, he read the printouts his mother had given him. Then he tore them apart. Every lie, every half-truth Vanessa had planted gone. He sent a simple text. "I believe in you, always." Alina saw it the next morning. Her eyes welled up. She typed a reply, then deleted it. She wasn't ready, not yet. Instead, she walked to the community center where she used to volunteer. It was still underfunded, still chaotic, but when one little girl tugged her sleeve and whispered, "You're the girl from the TV," You're so brave. Alina smiled for the first time in days. She spent hours reading to the children, helping with homework. The noise soothed the ache inside her. Meanwhile, back at Blackwood Tech, Vanessa strutted into Damon's office. Confident, "You're ignoring everyone. The board, the press, even me." Damon looked up, deadpan. "I've always ignored you." Vanessa's smile flickered. "I saved you from a gold digger. You should be thanking me." He stood slowly. "You destroyed a woman who never wanted anything from me but honesty. You humiliated her in front of my family. She humiliated you. She sold herself for money." "No," he said sharply. "She took a chance. I was the one who treated her like she didn't matter afterward." He stepped closer, eyes icy. "Get out, Vanessa. We're done for good. And if you leak one more thing about Alina, I'll make sure no one in this city hires you for a red carpet again." Vanessa stared, stunned. Damon's voice softened as he looked out the window. "You think power is money and status, but Alina has something you'll never understand. Heart." That night, Alina stood on the roof of her apartment, wind in her hair, phone in her hand. She opened Damon's message again. "I believe in you, always." Her fingers hovered over the screen. This time, she typed 2 words, "I'm healing," and she hit send. The air was different that evening, thick with tension and the scent of something unspoken. Alina sat on the steps outside the community center, her hands wrapped around a paper cup of coffee that had long gone cold. Her phone buzzed. "Again, this time," she answered. "I saw your message," she said softly. Damon's voice on the other end cracked. "I didn't expect a reply. I wasn't going to," she admitted. "But I couldn't stop thinking about the night you defended me and the night you didn't." Silence stretched between them like a tightrope. "I was afraid," he finally said. "Afraid of how much I felt for you. I've spent my whole life controlling people, outcomes, everything. But you, I wasn't part of the plan," Alina whispered. "No," he said. "You were the interruption I didn't know I needed." Alina closed her eyes. "So why did you let your mother tear me apart?" Damon exhaled heavily. "Because I thought walking away would protect you. But I was just protecting my pride." There it was, the honesty she'd waited for, not wrapped in apology but truth. "I'm not someone you can disappear from when it gets hard, Damon. I know. I'm not your rescue project. I won't be your hidden lover. You won't be hidden," he said fiercely. "If you give me another chance, want the world to know." The words sank deep into her heart. But trust was no switch she could flip back on. "I need to see it," she said. "Not just hear it." "You will," he promised. That weekend, the world watched as Damon Blackwood, billionaire heir and ruthless CEO, arrived at the Blackwood Foundation gala with Alina Jackson on his arm. The cameras flashed wildly. The whispers hissed. She wore a deep emerald gown that shimmered like courage. Her natural curls framed her face like a crown. And Damon, he held her hand like she was royalty. Inside the ballroom, Evelyn Blackwood's expression soured. "You dare? Bring her here." Damon didn't flinch. "She belongs here more than half the people in this room." Vanessa stepped forward, a glass of champagne in hand and venom in her voice. "Careful, Alina. That dress doesn't make you one of us." Alina turned calm and graceful. "You're right. I'll never be one of you. I don't hide knives behind smiles." The room stilled. Nathan Blackwood chuckled. "I like her." Damon raised his glass. 2 second chances. and the strength it takes to face the ones who hurt you. Alina met his gaze. For the first time, the pain didn't outweigh the possibility. That night, they danced. Slowly, no cameras, no interviews. Just two people rebuilding trust on a floor of polished marble and old regrets. When the song ended, Damon whispered, "Tell me when you're ready. I'll wait." Alina rested her head on his shoulder. "I'm not ready to love you again. But you don't hate me anymore," he said quietly. "No," she smiled faintly. "I just might love myself enough now to choose wisely." Outside, the stars blinked gently. Maybe, just maybe, healing didn't mean forgetting it, meant rewriting the ending.